there's a little scene app. So all your scenes are controlled there. No fumbling it, top-down menus and stuff like that. Now, that's not the only thing we need to worry about when we're creating. There's the overlays, there's the props, there's the graphics. So where are them? So I'm going to start turning on here. You'll see here, as I hover over this screen, I can turn on. Now I've just turned on my camera switcher. Overlays. These are your props. These are going to be your actors. So if you imagine you've got your scenes above, this is what's on stage, and this is what's accompanying that scene. So we're going to have our graphics, our actors, our call to actions. There's other elements as well. We may have music. We're not necessarily going to have a band, even though you can bring live music in if you want to. But here's our sound levels, so we know what our microphone is doing. But what about our sound effects and our music? This icon here, if I switch that on, that turns this on. As you see, what they've done, and again, you can change the order of these, you can move them. If I zoom in here, I can pick this up and drag it wherever I want. And if I don't feel I need that element on screen, I can take it away. What else have we got? Reactions, that's this here. So comments. So if you are doing a live stream and people are chatting back, you don't have to worry about keep looking on YouTube or Facebook. You'll get your reactions in this interface over here. And again, as I said, you can move it, you can wherever you want it. Other elements, guests. So if you are doing guests, so there's two, if you're bringing guests via Ecamm, or if you're bringing them via Zoom for your webinars, or one person, yeah, absolutely amazing tool this is. Got one customer, they've set it up so they've split screen and they're on one side and they interview their customers as a follow-up. They get their permission and then they record a small snippet from that section and they'll use that as a video testimonial. So how did you find, I won't cover what sector they're in. So, and they'll reply back and then they'll actually wrap that up and give it to the customer for them to post as a review on their Google listings. Absolutely brilliant. And you can do that easily with Ecamm by bringing in guests. You can do it via Zoom, or if you've got the Pro account, you can bring this in. So some of the benefits of Pro, and I'll cover that separately. One of them is interview. You can bring people in. So if you're doing other things besides, if you're recording yourself and or you're recording, live streaming on your own, you don't necessarily need that feature, but that's a Pro upgrade, and that's on the website. I'll leave you a link to the to that. That's a Zoom here. So if you want to bring the Zoom integration, that's this icon over here. The other one is camera effects. So if you imagine Instagram filters, and so I can find that. It's here. And that's that over there. The other thing you may notice is down here. If I bring that in. And there you've got preview. So that gives you a preview of what you're recording or what you are streaming out. So all your elements that you potentially need to know about are all on one screen. Obviously, if you've got a smaller screen, you won't necessarily have this window as big as I've got it on here. And as I said, you can turn off elements if you don't need them. So having these separate utility windows or little applets are actually a great time saver. So if you need to do something, so if I need to just switch scenes, all I do is press that. Again, these can be programmed so they're triggered by the keyboard or something like a Stream Deck. So what can the software do? So I'm going to quickly go through this, what it can do, and then going to delete it and then build this out. And what I've done is done a slight rebrand, and I want to recreate my scene. So that's why I thought if I do this like an over the shoulder, you can actually see how this works. One of the things I am doing, you'll see down here, I've got this, my microphone is crystal microphone. I've got a fan blowing, and occasionally the air conditioning kicks in because it is super hot. And That's a digital tool that's kind of cutting out this, hopefully the sound of those devices, or sorry, the cooler and the air conditioning unit. So what can you do in this software? So as I said, you can record, so you can come here, press record, and everything that's on the screen will be recorded. As I said, there's a preview so you can see, and then you would create in advance what you want to appear on the graph on the screen. So this is a lower third, and this is made within the software, and I'll do separate tutorial videos of how you can make these things. This is fairly straightforward, little text overlay. Other elements, so you saw there I was doing a screen share, so I'm looking on a separate screen and I'm sharing in my Chrome browser, so you can actually do it so you can share a browser, or you can share elements of the screen, or even your mobile phone. I can do picture within picture. Comments, so if I was doing something and a live stream and somebody made a comment and I want to share that, I can do that. This is a lower third. This is made within Ecamm. So if I zoom in here, you'll see all of this is made within the software. I have got a video version of this as well. Backgrounds. This is within the software. This is made within the software, and this is on the current scene. Other things you can do is basic transitions. This is a wipe. Effects. Background, and me within a frame. And I'll show you how we can build up these. And finally, we have this. So again, this is built in Ecamm, as you can see as I hover over it. And that's just this effect here. So all of this built within the software, and you can bring in external. And I'm going to delete all of this, and I'm going to start afresh as if this is a clean setup, and we'll do like an over-the-shoulder view. So I'm going to refer to building this as a theatre production or TV. Most people have seen a TV show or maybe a theatre or a play. So we're going to be using that as our mindset. So here is a stage production. So here we have our background. So within our scene, we'll have a background. And as you see on this one, there is no props. There is no props. There's no actors. There's nothing on stage at the moment. So we're going to be focusing on creating a scene. After that, we're going to obviously want to add what we got here. There's a scene with a different background. Our actors will be added there, and our props. So that's, if you imagine a theatre production. So this could be classed as a waiting screen or a countdown screen if there was a clock. So we're going to be creating that with the theatre in mind. So the first one, this one will get deleted. I need something on screen so I can walk through it. My setups, my preferences, and again, they can be changed, and I'll cover that in a separate video. My preferences being set, so any new scene I create, it's going to be blank. So there's that scene. There's nothing on screen. So I'm going to put myself, me, Paul. I'll go back and title these off. Now I'm going to use camera overlays. So I'm going to bring an actor in. So here, this camera, press that in. It's remembered what I did last. So here I'm going to click the pencil. I want this to be camera A. But there's logic in that, and I'll cover that later. I want this to be classic, widescreen 16:9. I don't actually want any borders, so I'm going to remove the borders, and I don't want any radius on this one because I want this to be full screen. And if I come to here, I can drag it out. Once that's done, if I'm happy with that, I can lock it. Now, it'd be nice to tell people who I am. So if I come down here, press the text, I'll unlock it so I can work within this scene. Once you've got your scene how you want it, I'm looking around the so if I press the text, I can put, I can't remember what I did last, so I'm just put go here. I wonder what that looks like. Can't remember what it's like. I can move that. We'll go into the different options of how the text works in a separate video. Well, here I've got motion, I've got a border on. I'm going to turn that off. None. So there's my text. Fine. If I want to, I can edit the text again. And if I want my surname in bold or something like that, I can go to, I'm using that. So your fonts are here. If I just scroll down and take that as a bold and save, and that's that. Now that's the first scene, fairly simple. I can have, as it's shown earlier, I could make fancy graphics coming in and stuff like that. But the important thing is there's no third-party elements. Now what I want to do is show you this process is to control all your assets within a folder. So you don't need multiple folders in multiple folders. That's something I do because I do web design and all the assets and the codes are all in separate folders. Same when I do photography, raw photos, videos, process photos, they're all in separate folders under that client's name. So here I have, this is to do with this channel, so business growth ready. Within there is going to be this show audio, any music beds. I'll leave links to where I get my music from, so it's legal to use on things like YouTube, Facebook, and the like. Any sound effects, they'll be in the sound effects folder. Any branding, so Alpha Mask. I also use the same folders because I use other software like OBS and stuff like that. I like messing around. I've got a PC, got a Linux machine on the way, so I do play around. It's a hobby as well as an interest and as well as a way of earning my income. So Alpha Mask, that's OBS. Here I've got backgrounds, so both in video and still formats. Any of the text I'm going to use within my production, so my colors, branding and stuff like that. My color pill, so that will be there. Any of the fonts, any images, both as SVGs, and PNGs. On-screen text, so if I'm making a reference to an affiliate link, I've got to declare that, so I can put affiliate link. Any videos, show profiles, so you can actually back up your show, because you don't want to spend ages doing it and then have a computer failure or stuff like that. So you can actually back up your scenes and your profiles. Profiles I'll cover in a separate videos, but it just telling the software where the show's going to be where it's going and what format you want it in, HD, 4K, that type of things. Any of the scenes, that's what we've been talking about at the moment. Framing, I'll cover this. A lot of people don't cover proper framing. BSTs, Ecamm may support this in the future. Again, I've used this on third-party software. Show widgets, these are basically would be potential URLs if I'm bringing elements in, and which Ecamm support via this icon here. Temp media, so the idea of the temp media folders. So if I'm doing a show in 2025 or in now, if I got a show in September and I'm bringing in some guest graphics and some video to do with that particular show, that isn't a permanent part of my show. So I don't necessarily want it in the other folders. So come next year, if I'm not going to have that guest on again, or I don't need that graphic, I know 2024 can be deleted. If, however, I do a show in January 25, and at the end of the year, I was saying, my guest I had in January, I've still got their graphics. They would be in that 2025 folder. And again, if I was doing loads of shows, I might split that off. Same with any audios that's relevant to those shows, and any images which are not part of the brand but which was used within those shows. So that's how the folders work. And if you have all your assets within there and drag them out to your Ecamm production, in 6 months' time, you'll know where everything is. So if, as I said, if there was a disaster and you've backed it up, great. But if you've deleted a scene and you want to recreate a scene, you know where it is, and it makes it portable. So you can actually drop this onto a USB stick or onto a cloud drive and move it to another machine, knowing everything's contained within that folder. So with that in mind, let's drop some temporary props, some overlays. These won't be going out into the productions. It just makes life easier for framing things up. So the first one I want to copy over is the rule of 3, or the rule of thirds. So within the idea is this. So if I was doing a kind of general talking head, I want to try to keep it within those middle lines. If for some reason I was offset, it might be that I'm displaying some graphics. I could stand on this line here. Again, facing the camera would be in front of me then. And there is space to that side of me, sorry, for graphics, or here. It's just about framing and how things look. If you look at my eyes, they're roughly on this top line here. So in that top third. So if I bring in my assets over, let's bring that down here. So the other thing I want is bring in my big head. These are temporary, so I'm going to, where are we now? I'm going to copy these to all scenes, and that's exactly what it says on the tin. Any element within there can be shown on all scenes as I create them. However, they're not necessarily visible in all scenes unless I've selected them. So if I turn off that rule of third there, that can be turned off regardless of what scene I'm in. That would be turned off. So in here, this is kind of like what you want to do is for your framing, you want to ideally be within your head within that circle. There is no going to jail. It's not like Monopoly. You won't go to jail if your head is not in that circle. The idea of that, and again, you might be presented with a site because this is how yours work if you've got a TV or you're showing that. So this is just a guide. The reason for this is, if you, and I've seen it on many Zoom meetings, not mine, as I pass somebody's computer, there's somebody down here and they're way down. They haven't got the microphone in front of them, because if they're this far down, their microphone's about 4 feet away, because they know nothing about looking half decent on a video. So if you're down in there, get yourself up in the frame, and I'm going to bring in my little head. And if I turn off, if I move my little head up to the top there, and I turn off my big head, the idea of this is, again, if you're creating business videos, if you're recording in this format, so widescreen, and your head's in that position, what can then be done is this video, if you're using, again, this is third-party tools, it can be what is known as repurposed. And some of these AI software has got something called auto reframing. So they will move you at about, so then you work within a vertical video. So if you want to do shorts on the likes of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram. Now, the idea of having a bit of headspace is that you can breathe, for want of a better word, on the phone and not be this close up, because then you'd be too big on the mobile phone. So that's the idea of this. And another reason for this is, if I drop in, we'll get to creating scenes in a moment. If I drop in this, and you might be looking at this and, whoa, this is not part of Ecamm. And again, you don't have to worry about this. I just want to cover this so you know when you're creating your own scenes what I'm looking for and what you might want to bear in mind. So if I turn up the little head, which I think is there. Now, this is what known as safe lines. So the yellow one is a kind of TV standard, or old TV standard, for what is title safe. So the idea of that is the titles won't be out of shot. Purple line there is action safe. Sorry, this purple line here, that's for action safe. So if you had loads of actions and stuff like that, you probably don't want it to have the important bit. So if you imagine if your actor was, wouldn't want your actor here, his nose poking out, because he wouldn't necessarily be in frame depending to the screen setup somebody's got. So that was the idea of action safe. So it's kept within there. So we've got title safe. The other ones, the orange one is potentially if somebody's on full screen on an Android device like we got Huawei and a Samsung, the bits above the orange and below the orange could be cut off. And the other one is the deep purple. No, this purple here. So there, and that's iPhone. So, and again, let us know in the comments if you knew this. So potentially on an iPhone, you've got a settings within the settings, obviously in the settings, that's where your settings would be. But you can also do it if you tap your phone, you can zoom to fill in your screen. So if you're watching a video, you can tap to zoom and it'll fill in your screen. And if you do that, you'll lose everything above that line and everything below that line. I've been watching a couple of people's live streams and their videos, and some of their critical information is being cut off if you're in that mode. Now, I don't know how many people watch it in that mode, but it is a mode you can turn on and have it as your default on the iPhone. I haven't tested it on the iPad. So that's just something worth bearing in mind. So, and the final one is I'm going to drop in is the 12 grid, and that's I'm going to be using to build the rest of the scenes up. So I'm going to drop that there. You don't necessarily need all of these. So if you want to delete an element, highlight what you want and go to the rubbish bin. So again, what they're trying to do is make whatever you hovered on is going to end up in the bin. So that's that. Now this here is so I can make sure I'm just keeping things framed up and balanced. Again, you do you. There is some snap lines, so you can work with snap lines. I'll eventually, when I get another website, I'm trying to set up a website, a resource website, I'll make this available when that's available. So if you tap subscribe, you'll get notified when that's available on my other YouTube channel, which is Reluctant Creators. So here, I want to make another scene. So if I press this plus here, so I've got a scene. I've got no background. One thing you can do with Ecamm, and I remember making a request for this, is so if I press in overlays, now let's bring this is already done because that's what I've done previously. So if I press that pencil, I can decide, because I've drawn a rectangle. Again, you can scale the rectangle however you want it. And if I press the cog, I can decide what color I want. And I have my color somewhere. So the background can be any color. This is set up as a grad. It could be a single color. So if I wanted it to be that's a single color. If I want a graduated color, I can, no, let's not pick motion. Let's pick, I've told you what it's like already. Let's have a pinky pink color, and a green one that gives us that grad for motion, which I think I teased that already. That's motion. And then you'll see the background cycling through. Again, sometimes less is more. You might not want to make people super sick. And again, you can have as many different graphic elements on the screen as you want. So I'm just going to go with a grad. And that's all the wrong colors. So let's have a kind of blue. And then the green. Let's have a black, a blue. Got the colors there anyway. So I'll do that. So in this particular scene, so it's me and grad. So I'm going to go to the cameras down here, grab a camera. That's me again. So let's drag myself down a bit. You can use these handles here. So I'm just going to turn on my grid for a moment. I'm going to go green to green. And as you'll see, it wants to go beyond the green. That's because it's in 16 by 9. So if I touch this pencil, change it from 16 by 9 to custom, I can then stretch that out, put that up where I want. So if I want a border around this, if I go pencil, border radius, and if I want motion, I can say how big I want that border. Less is more. The radius, so I'll go with like a 2 pixel radius. I'm certainly going to knock that back. And I don't need my green. So that's me on screen in a frame with a background. Now, if I wanted to, my next one, say if I wanted me and Keynote. So this is, you can do the same thing with PowerPoint. I'm going to bring that in on its own, just that. So if I go, I'm going to go to Keynote on the other screen. I'm going to start that playing in a window. If I drag that over, you've got an option on Keynote, and you same one on PowerPoint, so you can play it within a window. So I'm going to do that. Just drag that off screen, so that's playing in a window. This new scene here, I want to come down here. I want to my screen, press the pencil icon. Secondary. So here's all the different elements you can bring in. It knows Keynote's open, so I'm going to say Keynote. There's Keynote. I don't necessarily need the border because I've done everything I need within Keynote. I just need to fill this entire screen with that. Now, if you imagine if we were going live out to the world, be it on Zoom, Facebook, and or YouTube and some other platforms that allow commenting, there would be reactions. So what I want to do is bring in this element here, because we're not going out in the real world. I want to go to overlays and add placeholder comment. So this mimics a placeholder. I'm going to move that to all scenes. You wouldn't necessarily do that. I'm just doing this so I can do the scene layout and I turn that off. So that's my Keynote. So if I go and show what the world would see very quickly, this is going to be a nice presentation. So if I come off demo mode, so now I'm controlling Keynote with my keyboard. And again, this could be somebody else which is controlling this. So if you've already done this and you just want somebody to work through, a work colleague. So on here is my presentation, blah, blah, blah. But as you can see, I'm actually part of this Keynote. So I move down. And again, all of this is done within Keynote. As I said, you can do within PowerPoint. Now this is going out. If I wanted it to, I could send this to YouTube. I could send this to the likes of a Zoom meeting. Now my presentation, I'm part of it on my webinar. Big graphics. Oh, I found out the other day, if you've got a spot, cover it with makeup. So that's what I did there. And I noticed that nobody could see that spot. I don't know if that's the best way of covering it up. So again, I'll work, as you can see, I'm moving within this presentation. So I'm not static. It's not a boring one. I'm moving within it. Here's the one slightly different. It's a different aesthetic. We're answering, we've prompted some questions through our presentation. Now we want to chat. Look, somebody's commented on Zoom or on YouTube. Now I'm going back to the Ecamm interface here. So I'll press that. Their question. So this question could be in Zoom. This could be in YouTube, Facebook. So as the questions come in, I can decide if it's worth it going on screen, I just press that relevant one, which would be in the comments and reactions. So I just press that. That would show up on screen. So now I'm answering, yes, Mrs. Joe blogs, we can do this, we can do this, we can do that, rather than me answering. So it makes it more engaging because the person who's asked the question is being addressed, but then your viewership can actually see what you're actually talking about at that particular moment. And again, so back to Keynote, I go through Keynote, coming towards our end of presentation. That comment doesn't need to be there. I can turn that off. Again, you can set these comments so they can come on and come off at a set time. Oh, sorry, you trigger them to come on, but then they can go off after 15 seconds, 20 seconds, or you could set up a hotkey on your keyboard. So going back to Keynote, so I could come to the end of this presentation. I believe this is the last slide. Yeah, blah, blah, blah. We looked amazing. We looked like $1 million compared to, hold on, obviously I was changing things because I'm recording, but you would have this all sorted. So you're just moving from slide to slide, and you would know what buttons previously you've set up to bring in those comments. So that would be your presentation. So back to the scene setup here. In this particular scene was just Keynote. I didn't name it, but this could just be Keynote or PowerPoint or whatever. And that was that. And then me triggering the comments would have been via that. And I would have seen the comments coming in via this window here. Obviously, I've got it to the far extent of the screen. You wouldn't necessarily have that. You would have it clustered in to what elements you need. And in the meantime, I could see down here on this screen, and again, that could be moved. I've got one coming out through my teleprompter, exactly what was going out to the live stream or what I'm recording, because obviously you can record. So if you want to do a presentation within Keynote and PowerPoint and then record it and release that as a video on your socials, that can also be done. So now let's create a scene where I'm going to bring in Windows, and I'm going to do a screen capture, but I'm going to do a screen capture of a Windows 11 on this Mac. So let me zoom that to full screen. New scene is Windows 11. Doesn't have to be Windows 11. It could be Windows 10. I'm going to add a background. So here, add a background. It's the same background as previous. Now, you don't have to keep creating backgrounds. What you can do is, if that background was there, if I drag that, obviously rename it properly, but if I drag that show in all backgrounds, every scene I create now will carry a background. What I want to do is bring in a camera. So we'll go there, bring in that camera. That brings in me. What would be nice is if I was circle. So I want camera A. I've got a video talking about the cameras and how they work on Ecamm. I'll leave a link to that. That'll take you to Reluctant Creators, and that's a video dedicated to the cameras and the quirks. So I want a custom shape. I want a circle. I'm going to scale this down and stick myself in the corner for the time being. No dirty dancing puns or references. So that's me in the corner. Now I want to bring in the Windows screen. So I'm going to go to the screen capture, bring in a screen, bring that in. Could make this full screen because we have got Windows going full screen. I want to bring in, so I can either bring in the secondary display because I've got that as full screen, or because I'm using remote desktop and it's a free application. So it's free on Windows if you've got Pro and above, and it's free for you to download from the app stores and an Apple for you to connect to a Windows machine. So yeah, you could have one keyboard here and you can have a separate PC, and I've got This B-Link is a teeny little mini PC in the studio. So I can either bring that as a remote desktop, B-Link, which is the same display, or I could share my secondary screen because I've got that full display on that secondary screen. So I'll do it like that. So let's deselect that. So that's the windows, genuine windows. Now you can't see me, so you go back to the overlay. So if you remember how this scene structure, it's theatre. We're at the theatre. We have our background, which is that there, but we can't see it because it's covered by the screen. And if I move that down, that moves me above it in this corner here. So this is me on top of a window. I could come here. I think I can do a drop shadow. Let's add a drop shadow. There's me with a drop shadow. That lifts me off the screen. But that's now if I go to full screen, as this is what I was going to record, or this is what I was going to live stream. So now this is me live streaming or recording a Windows 11 machine using a Mac. Now I did set up a hotkey on this, so I can actually zoom because I'm using the keyboard here. So I can zoom in on this window, a Windows machine, via. I've got an application here with got some customer data, so that's fine. Yeah, I do SEO and website optimization and stuff like that. This is kind of link building thing I'm playing with. So yeah, that's capturing a Windows screen as you would expect it to work on Windows. So everything works as normal. So that's Windows sorted. So that's how that works. So let me tidy this up. So if I bring this in, this is where I've got the actual, or what will be my official backgrounds in, instead of the grads and stuff like that. New animated overlay. Choose the one I want, which is the WebM version. I want to just show you the controls. So here, you'll see I have, when this video, when I go to where this video is, I want it to autoplay, start from the beginning, and I want it to loop. That's it. So I want this video to continually loop. I also want it to be shown in all scenes, in the background of all scenes. So now you can see that there. So if I turn on, I don't know why I've got two there. So if I turn on my camera, go to what the public will see, or what I would actually record, you'll see there's some slight movement at the background, not too much. You don't want it so it's kind of like drawing the focus. That's if you have it framed, so you don't want it so it's drawing the focus of your viewership. I need to test if this is a perfect loop as well. I'll check that out later. Or is it jumping? Anyway, I'll check that out later. So active demo mode. Now here, if I want to see what scenes are going to, say we're going to have a picture within picture. So here, take this one and I change the way this looks. I'm just going to turn on my grid for a moment. So I might say, okay, I want that there. I want another window. No, I don't. I want a screen capture there. What do I want to capture? I'm going to capture a Chrome. Now you can either do this as a widget, or you can do it as a screen capture. So what I want to do is using the Alt keys on the keyboard. Going on this. And you know what, this considerably bigger. Now, if I wanted to, again, if I was using a web widget, it wouldn't show the address bar. But if I wanted to, holding the Alt key, I can bring that and chop that off. I can make this a bit bigger now, so I've got a bit more screen real estate. Pressing the Alt to tail that in. If I move myself up to the top, Control Z. There's a useful tip there. Again, any elements you don't want to move, lock them. Sorry, lock them with the lock, not with the cog. So I turn off the grid, don't need that on. Now, if I wanted to bring in some text, if I press the text icon, I can put find more details. I'm dyslexic, so hopefully I get it right. You can go www.findout.ws/Ecamm. Put it right, Ecamm. But that's there. Now, if I wanted to, you can see that text there. I can come back to that text. Do I want it? What can I do with this text? Click Edit. If I go there, I can have it scroll and ticker. Font sizes I can control here. Go with 36. Save. So you can see that's zipping across the screen there. If I want it to go slower, I can move it to the turtle, faster to the hare. I go to the text, press the pencil again. If I wanted a background, so we have edit background, color. Ideally, if you're picking a color, make sure it's a good contrast ratio between the text and your viewer. Think of somebody who's visually impaired, and think of anybody with eyesight older than 35, 40 maybe. So here, if I was going with that, so it's a nice strong contrast ratio. You can save that. I want to move it down a bit. I take you to the full screen and what Joe Public would see. I can do now is if I go to the pencil, edit text, edit background, color. I think I can change the opacity somewhere here. Save. As you can see, I can still see my background through that. The perfect place for that one. Straight on that line there. That's cool. So that's if you want to do a scrolling text. So another scene I want to do, let's do a top-down scene now. I'll turn on my camera, which is up there. Turn on some lights. Never mind what camera you've got, make sure you've got plenty of lights. Otherwise, your video will look a bit muddy. I've seen people with $2,000 cameras with crappy videos versus somebody who's got a $50 webcam. So, new scene. This will be top down. So, as you see, because my background is in all scenes, as I created that, even though I've told it to create it blank, it's still got the background because the background shows, it has a rule to show in all scenes. Now in this one, I want to go to cameras, camera there. It's remembered me, so I'm going to keep that. Saves me doing that. So, and it's got all my coloring and stuff like that. I'm going to do another camera. Now this is what I don't want. So pencil, I want it 16 by 9. Do I want camera B? Yeah, we want camera B. I want 16 by 9. Again, it wouldn't normally take you this long because you wouldn't normally be talking. Oh, you might be talking to yourself, but motion, none. I actually don't need any of them. So let's move that to there. Stretch that across that. So that's my top down. Now, if we go back here, so this is my scene. This is what's on stage. Is my scene that you can't, the background scene, which is the movie file, you can't see because my camera B is covering that. So I'm going to move camera B down. So it's still the background scene covered by B. So you can't see the movie file because I've got this full screen. If I wanted to, you see it's behind there. I want this full screen. Again, that's up to yourself. You can have it within a frame. And then I've got myself there. Now, normally that would be, okay, that's a nice top down. That's if I go, that's muddy. Now I have lights in front of me, I have lights behind me. I need lights for this. You can't have one light that will light everything. I mean, you'd be in a really lucky environment if you can get one light that will light all your needs. So here I have separate lights to do the lighting of this. Now, if I had enough light to power this with one single light, I would be overexposed. So you need generally a light to deal with each individual task. Now, this is a top-down shot. Benefit of this is if you want to buy this or find out more about this camera, you see it's nicely lit up. Be seen. I might change the light power on that one when I go final. I unplugged everything the weekend and now everything's fun. So this is top-down shot. Now I could add to that if I wanted to this scene here. If I just check my grid, I'm in within tolerance. I could put myself. That could probably be a bit smaller. So I could probably change.
Want to know about the gear used? Check out mygear.ws.
Probably a bit over. So there's me top down. I should really straighten that with the line, but who's complaining? Oh, and I've mentioned Stream Deck. For those who doesn't know what Stream Deck is, that's this device here. So there's buttons I can press, which are programmed in that do various things. And that looks a bit like, this is the small one. Looks a bit like that. And they come in 6 bytes like that. That's 6. So if you've got a show which is just you moving down the scenes, so moving down, literally you can program these buttons to go, back, next, and so you might get away with a 6. However, I brought a 15 and then decided the 15 wasn't big enough, so I still use the 15 as a secondary one, and then I got a 32. But again, they've done a software update, so you might, if you wanted to, you might get away with a 6. Probably advise getting a 15 at the minimum, really. So that's the Stream. I'll leave a link to that in the description below anyway. So now with this, I want to bring in another camera. So what I can do now is then we can go on the roll. If I'm happy with this one, all I've got to do is come to here and press this icon here, the 2 boxes there. Now it's duplicated that scene. I can now rename that. So that'll be top down. I didn't put it in, did I? Top down, picture in picture, and side. Okay. So that's this one. So I've got the picture in picture. So I want to add the side cam. So I can go to cameras here, or I can drag cameras from here. I'm going to do it from here. I'm going to move that so it's in the green, on the green there. If I zoom out a bit, I won't make you seasick. So that could go there. So that's my side cam. Then as I select the relevant camera. Now down here, my side camera is in camera C. I've got a video, as I said, that I'll cover all of this and make perfectly good sense about this. So I'm going to say camera C. So there's my side cam. Refreshments. So if I move that out the road for a minute. So if I wanted to show off this webcam, I've got either the side cam or the big one, but this is particularly useful if you're doing a keyboard or something flat. If you're doing art design and stuff, side cam, and I've got a really nice microphone, that's perfect. So if you want to record your art being constructed and you speaking, you'll be on ideally two different microphones, because otherwise to pick up the art, your microphone here, this one would have to be, you'd have to turn the gain on this so loud it would pick up too much room noise and stuff like that. So if you want the sound of you cutting your art or painting, if you've got, or opening, if you want to have that immersive sound, ideally you want a separate microphone. And I've got a video of how to do that, because we're setting up somebody else's channel and they wanted their sound of their art as they cut through material and stuff like that being recorded at the same time. So here on this scene, I can turn off the overlay, the grid, turn off the right thing. That's what it would look like to Joe Public, showing product, nice and clear. So because I mentioned that you could go to websites and see, so I'm just dragging this file over, I'm dragging it to all scenes, we'll find out. And on this particular one, I pause if I'm quick enough. So this one here, I want it to autoplay. I want it to start from the beginning, and I want it to stay hidden. So the process of this little movie file, I want it to come in, do its, or it's already in now, but when I select it, either through the Stream Deck keyboard, or if I go to that scene, or if I press it individually with the mouse, what I want it to do is exactly what I said there. So I want it to autoplay. I want it to start from the beginning, and once it's finished, I want it to hide itself, and I don't want the icon to be as selected. So if I walk that through, so press play on that. If we come here, you'll see now the eye is turned off. So if I was to press that, you'll see it coming back into play, and once it's finished, stays on for a couple of seconds, and then it goes off. And the reason I'm doing that is because I've got affiliate links, and I need to declare that those are affiliate links. So another one I can bring in lower third. So on a YouTube subscription. So that's going to be that. Autoplay, hide, and stay hidden. I'm going to move it so it shows in all scenes. I'll actually change the locations or the aligning. What was that? Doesn't need to be that big. And that would probably go there. And if I play that, there, watch this where it says sound effects, because this is a movie file, or it's WebM with embedded sound. So as I press it, you will see there's a little ping as the bell goes, and I can increase or decrease that. There, notice my microphone is set to 80. That gives me headroom if I need to increase gain. So this is where the sound levels are. Well, and we'll cover that in more details in a separate video. So going back to here, so if I want to trigger that motivation to tap subscribe, by the way, you by all means take that as a hint. So that's how that works. Now we want to create one more scene, or maybe two, just so I want a behind. And on this one, we scroll down to overlays. We want cameras. I press camera. Got me full screen. All I've got to do is select here. I want camera D. Yes, it's behind the scenes. Camera.
Want to know about the gear used? Check out mygear.ws.
So this is what it looks like, obviously, from behind. Any of those triggers I've done there can be triggered in this scene. So if I come out of demo mode, you'll see there's the tap to subscribe, because that's on all scenes. And this is this setup. So here I've got a teleprompter. That's why occasionally you'll see me ducking around so I can see those panels on Ecamm, because I've got it like that. 9 to 10, once it's all set up, I don't need to see that all the time. The overhead camera, I think you can see that that's there. So that's doing the top down. Side cam is there. Lights are coming to light me up. It's coming from under the teleprompter and to the side here. The lights are in front of me there. If I had the space, I'd have a super big, nice softbox. I've got like from my photography studio days, I've got massive soft boxes and stuff like that. I just don't have the space. I can touch, that's the wall there. I can touch the wall there, and I can touch the wall there. So if I had a soft box, I would have to stand over here, and I can't. This is where there's a PC set up here on a standing desk. There, nothing's there, cups there, yeah. So there's a standing desk there with a PC coming up at the moment. The PC is behind me. There, goes there. So it's actually slightly outside the room. So the reason for the light setup is so those lights need to work on here, and then I have a totally different setup. Hence, I got the Rodecaster and that shared between the two devices. So on the Apple and on the PC. So if I'm recording stuff on the PC, that's there. The other PC I was bringing in earlier is outside in the studio, and that's just a little mini PCs doing some SEO manipulation stuff at the moment as we speak. So that's a quick setup, but all of this means I can come in here, turn or I can tell Alexa to do all the turning on the lights. I just turn on my cameras, the two up there, the rest of the webcams, so they're just wired when the power comes up, and that's it. I can press record, and I've got a perfect video. Or sorry, I've got a video. It would be arrogant to say perfect, but then I've got a video I can stick up on the internet. So I've got a link to Reluctant Creators. Reluctant Creators is going to cover all aspects of creating the videos and a lot more details than that. The reason I'm sticking this as on Business Growth Ready is to let people know we as businesses, we pick as I'm used to, and the buttons aren't programmed yet. We as businesses need to be making videos to address questions that people are asking on the internet to get traffic to those videos, and you can use those videos on your website. But the internet is favoring video more versus the likes of your website. So I have people that says, great, I'll stick videos on my website, which is great that you want to do that, but people are not looking for your videos on your website. They're not going to go, oh, let me go and find some person who's got videos on the website. If you've got videos on your website, great, but you still need those videos to be found, and those videos are going to be found much more easier on video platforms, the likes of YouTube, TikTok, Instagram Reels, LinkedIn. So where videos have a home, that's where you want your videos, and those videos can also be put on your websites, but your videos need to be on those platforms. So hopefully I've got a lot covered. I'll leave a link to Reluctant Creators. That's the video centric live streaming channel. And on this channel, I'll get back to creating some more videos and utilizing mail lists, the likes of emails, search optimization and stuff like that. So if you have found this video helpful, do give us a thumbs up and like. Don't forget to share this with somebody who's thinking about creating videos and not sure, do they need to buy a big fancy camera, or could they, find a easier solution? The big benefit of this is no editing. I've paused the video a couple of times as I move stuff around, but I don't need to edit.